Welcome back to the channel, good friends. Brian from Apex Detail. Today, I would like to share the best possible way to improve deep scratches through a car or an automobile's painted surfaces. These scratches here are very narrow but very deep. They can be improved to a point where you either would have to know they're there or you would catch them just at the right light, at the right angle to see them. Otherwise, they would blend in. And as you can see, this is made by an object that made the scratch very deep. And you can always tell by running your fingernail across the scratch if you hear it catch or you can feel it catch the scratch. It's more than likely through the clear into the color coat. The first thing you want to do before any type of correction is to clean the surface properly. That's with whatever wash routine you use, a bucket wash or rinseless. And then your full decon, iron remover, clay, and I often follow up after that with a panel prep. Try to break down and remove any existing waxes or sealants that could be on the surface so they don't come up into either the sanding pads or your polish pads. We now have a smooth surface that is squeaky, clean, contaminant free, and we are ready to correct. That happens to be one of the most important steps of the process. We are going to wet sand today. You can dry sand as well, but I like to wet sand because the moisture captures the dust and doesn't let it escape into the atmosphere of the shop. And that really can make extra work for us. You can sand with sheets and blocks. I love these handheld palm blocks that conform to the shape of the panel that you're sanding. So that's what I prefer. Before we get started, let me take some measurements before we do some wet sanding. There are a lot of misconceptions that sanding removes just way too much clear coat, a ton of clear coat. That's not so. I'm going to show you how to do a proper correction using the wet sand method today. Okay, now I'm never going to get my camera to focus on this properly, but you're going to get the idea. If you look through the microscope here and we're looking up close at the scratch, it looks like there was talcum powder dumped into the valley of the scratch, and that's because the scratch caused jagged edges. So this will represent the scratch deep into the clear coat, and this would be the color coat here. So we've penetrated the color coat as well, but the light is refracting off of all of those jagged edges, and it's like walking into a crystal cave. All types of light refracting, reflecting back into your eyes, giving you that hideous look. A great reason I love wet sanding is for this purpose right here, keeping the surface temperature down. No matter how hard you are sanding, especially wet sanding, that surface will stay constant. You want to keep your correction area within 20 degrees of the surrounding areas. The ambient temperature, you don't want a swing of more than 20 degrees. It puts way too much stress on the clear coat. I use sanding often, and it is a safe method to remove imperfections. And I urge you to pick up some test panels at your local body shop or junkyard. They'd be more than happy to get rid of them. You can put them on a horse and practice you'll get comfortable rather quickly. So what I did in essence was I kept sanding until I saw this white milky color. That is the clear coat being removed. And once it started being removed, I'll often stop, wipe off the residue, let it dry a little bit, see how far I've gone, keeping an eye on the texture of the surface. And that's how I measure how deep to sand. Once the texture is gone out of the surface, all clear coat has like an orange peel type texture, a lemon peel texture. Once that's completely flat, you've really gone to the point of removing considerable amount of clear coat, and you don't want to go any further. You can also wet sand with machines. This is the LHR 75 by Roops, one of the only polishers from there that I would recommend that are fairly priced and do truly last and do a fantastic job. Even using a machine with all of that energy being transferred, the temperature is still being kept down and constant. This is what it will look like after wiped down and dried. No reflection whatsoever, but we have shaved a little bit of clear coat ever so slightly. More importantly, we have rounded off the valleys and the edges of these scratches. The next step is to pick a polisher and a pad and a correction fluid to buff out or polish out those sand marks. It doesn't take a lot. A light polish, a non aggressive polish pad, and you'll be able to bring out the clarity and reflection out of that surface. By the way, obviously, you can go after those scratches with a polisher and a pad. But take a look, just using one hand without a ton of pressure on the polisher, how much the temperature spikes in that one area compared to its surrounding areas. The ambient temperatures in the 50s, 60s, and the temperature with the polisher jumps up 90, 100. It's way beyond a safe environment for clear coat. And even when I lift the polisher and I'm finished up, it's still quite considerably higher than the surrounding areas. So I'm sure you can imagine, without me demonstrating here, how high those temperatures would spike if you're going with an aggressive pad, a lot of pressure, and aggressive correction fluids. The temperatures can go well beyond 30, 40, 50 degrees higher than the surrounding areas. As you can see, we have much improved look to the area. Yes, the scratchers are still there. You can't get rid of them without sanding them completely down and respraying at a body shop. However, if you don't know they're there, you might not see them whatsoever, or you'd have to be at just a perfect angle with the perfect amount of light to see them. The scratches look much, much better. And I know, again, my camera can't really focus on everything at once here, but you will get the idea. Here is before and after, looking up close at the valley of the scratch. Looks like there's powder dumped into the valley, white and hideous. Afterwards, after the wet sanding and everything has been rounded off and curved off, things have cleared up and noticeably better. And yes, the scratches are still there through the clear coat into the color coat. Why is that? Well, we have sanded and rounded off those jagged edges just like this. And really, the light can only reflect off of the walls of the valley of the scratch now. And let's take a look at how much clear coat we have removed to get those results. And you'd be probably surprised, if you're not familiar with wet sanding, it really didn't take much at all, maybe 1/10 of a mil. I hope that helps. If you want more of these types of videos, let me know down in the comments section. This has been Brian from Apex Detail. Catch you in the next video.